You're always involved in shady activities, Ja and Jane. Here we are today once again, Dane, DJ. Deja da, huh? After jabbing Caitlin Clark in the eye, she left as if nothing had occurred. However, DiJonai Carrington simply had a front row seat to karma this time, and the entire WNBA community is applauding. I believe that we have just witnessed the worst call in sports history, guys. In fact, I believe we may have just witnessed the worst call in sports history. And similar to, this is unexpected. In light of the fact that what transpired during Wings Valky's game may be the most rewarding moment of the season, please feel free to remark below if you believe in immediate justice. How could the same referees who had safeguarded one of the league's most protected athletes suddenly throw her under the bus? Let's dissect it. DiJonai Carrington and egregious infractions. Why do you call the foul every time I witness a blatant one? Why are you in the dirty play every time I watch it? Can we have a week without you thrashing around and chasing people, DJ Jane? Can we simply take a week off? That's all. DJ, just 1 week. Carrington has been at the epicenter of the WNBA's turmoil for months. Taunting, technicals, elbows, and eye pokes. She has done anything you can think of. However, she continued to get away with it somehow. Following the release of videos and collages showing her attacking players, DiJonai Carrington is retaliating against WNBA fans. A lot of the league's fans, bro, want DJ Carson to leave Dodge. And I am here to tell you, dog, that is undoubtedly on these supporters' agendas since a lot of people want her gone. No egregious fouls, no penalties, no suspensions. On national television, she practically poked Caitlin Clark in the eye, and the league remained silent. Boston is harassed by Carrington. Carrington hits Clark in the face, knocking him to the ground. It's Caitlin Clark. Fans waited as a result. They awaited responsibility. They bided their time till justice was served. And when it never materialized, they stopped expecting the league to take action and began to hope that karma would. And in a crazy turn of events, it did. I believe that we have just witnessed the worst call in sports history, guys. In fact, I believe we may have just witnessed the worst call in sports history. And it's shocking that DiJonai Carrington isn't the one committing the egregious offense. In the closing minutes of the Dallas Wings game, which they had to win, DiJonai Carrington was flagrantly fouled. A long-range shot was fired by Janelle Saloon. The rebound flew out of bounds after it bricked. DiJonai Carrington ran in its direction and made the astute decision to let it roll. Just a high basketball IQ, no contact. However, like a linebacker, in full sprint, Tiffany Hayes suddenly charged in and plowed into Carrington's back with full force. The audience let out a gasp. DiJonai Carrington's number is the front row, where Carrington smashed in. I think Hayes is called for a foul. He is now claiming that he boxed out Tiffany Hayes. Hayes is reaching over. It seems to be obvious. Hayes was a blatant foul, excluding the Carrington whistleblower. Indeed, the same DiJonai Carrington who remained still. The same one that stood motionless and was just plowed over. She was called for the foul by the referees. Therefore, Dallas ball is one referee's point. However, are you aware of what another referee called? Are you aware of the call made by another referee? Salon missed Valky's rebound, as you can see, right here. Dane reportedly fouled Tiffany Hayes after she grabbed the rebound. It appears that Tiffany Hayes jumped on DiJonai Carrington after getting the rebound and was fouled. I think that could be the worst basketball call I've ever seen. In fact, that was the worst basketball call I have ever witnessed. He simply leaped through her as if she knew it was inevitable. People's shield. People will stand there and shield the ball or obstruct it. She simply leaped over the rear. In the worst situation, an overback fall occurs. The actual turmoil started at that point. Fans would normally be furious. The play would be dissected frame by analysts. Calls for justice would erupt on social media. Not this time, though. Rather, they chuckled. They applauded. They shared memes. It's not a foul. That's a lesson, one fan wrote. Now she knows what Caitlin's been going through all year. No pity. No indignation. Just satisfaction. And it wasn't just about one play. This was the same Carrington who once sent Skylar Diggins to the ground with a headshot. Diggins, who's still quick, gets music. Let's see here. Came down on DiJonai Carrington's foot and just rolled that ankle. That hurts. You hate to see that. and yet no accountability. So when the referees finally stopped protecting her, when they actually turned against her, it felt like the entire league exhaled, as if justice had finally found its target. The same player who crowded Gabby Williams' landing space so badly that she twisted her ankle. Karma finally struck. This one's for Caitlin. She had it coming. Let's be clear. No one is saying that it's acceptable for referees to make bad calls. Even Valky's fans, whose team profited from the bad call, acknowledged it was ridiculous. But nobody cared because DiJonai Carrington had to take what she usually dishes out for once. She was flattened, and nobody came to her aid, not the referees, the crowd, or even her teammates. However, it's difficult to feel sorry for a player who has spent a whole season developing a villain arc, the league's equivalent of a heel, especially when that player has spent months making fun of fans who have called her dirty. She even tweeted earlier this week, "Y'all swear I'm such a dirty player." I've had enough of this story. Fans, on the other hand, remembered the eye poke, the egregious elbows, the cheap shots, and most importantly, the league office's silence each time it occurred. As a result, when Carrington was body-checked into the sideline and still received a foul call, it wasn't just satisfying. It felt necessary because it wasn't just about Carrington, it was about a broken system. For once, the system that allows elite players to break the rules, one that penalizes rookies like Caitlin Clark for reacting while giving veterans like Carrington a pass for initiating, flipped on this particular night. Carrington's team lost, their chances of making the playoffs suffered, and her reputation was officially ruined because, let's face it, you can be aggressive, competitive, and even physical. But once fans decide you're reckless, once they call you dirty, it's over. And when even your own fans watch you get fouled and shrug, that's not a problem with your reputation. It's an identity crisis. This wasn't just a foul, it was a message from the basketball gods, players, and fans. Just as Caitlin Clark took a vicious poke in the eye and remained silent, Carrington took a body blow and was buried by the court of public opinion. She built her brand on intimidation, but now the WNBA is against her. If she believes she can continue playing the villain without facing consequences, she had better reconsider. Because the next time she crowds a jump shooter's landing space or pulls someone's hair, the referees might not just ignore it, they might punish it. DiJonai Carrington avoided justice for the entire season, but last night she was tackled from behind. If you think the WNBA should start protecting players like Caitlin Clark, scroll back up and comment "Fire DJI" in all caps. Let's make sure they hear us. Subscribe for more WNBA news and updates, and we'll see you next time. Well, my goodness, gracious indeed. I want to give a shout out to Sophie Cunningham right now. The WNBA discovered Sophie Cunningham, and she responded by wearing a shirt so savage that it embarrassed the entire league. Sophie's sauntering into the Chicago Sky game wearing a shirt that went viral, and now she's released a little video and some multiple images. Over the past day, I didn't think it was going to be this hyped. I didn't think it was going to be this much of a change. I have the meats at Arby's. This wasn't a tantrum. Rather, it was a calculated move that turned a $500 fine into viral fame. And Sophie Cunningham receives a $500 fine from the WNBA, Brain Dead Ad, and Kathy Angle for speaking out against officiating on TikTok. Her actions resulted in massive brand deals and the most famous clapback in league history. So, how did one t-shirt turn Sophie into the WNBA's biggest PR nightmare and marketing genius? Let's break it down. However, Sophie Cunningham has benefited greatly from Caitlin Clark and being on the scene. Her star power has increased, as evidenced by the fact that she was able to stand up for Caitlin Clark, was energetic, spunky, and was able to perform well on the court for a high-profile team. She even walked in wearing an Arby shirt the other day, and her moment of throwing JC Sheldon to the ground went viral. Now, pro wrestling promoters are contacting her to try to arrange a deal. Sophie Cunningham has never shied away from voicing her opinions, and when poor WNBA officiating got out of control, she did what every fan was already thinking. After being elbowed in the head by Olivia Nelson-Oda without a foul call during that possession, applause. After being grabbed by the neck by a Sparks player without a whistle, Sophie had had enough and posted a TikTok in which she called the WNBA referees slow, stupid, and useless. What's Sophie Cunningham's TikTok on now? This has been 3 hours, so in 3 hours, she's getting 7,000 Instagram followers. Oh my god, she's on 850,000 followers. It went viral, receiving over 1.3 million views in a matter of hours. Fans loved it because it wasn't just Sophie talking, it was Sophie speaking for them, Sophie speaking for them. After 3 hours, Sophie Cunningham will likely gain between 600,000 and 700,000 TikTok followers. She started with 37,000 followers and now has 7.9 million likes and 7.7 million views on her most recent TikTok post, which received, her pinned one 6.7 million views. For every player tired of being fouled without protection, for every fan exhausted man, I thought we could have a little fun right before the game starts. Sophie Cunningham gets fined $500 for making this slick TikTok about the referees. Yo, it's hilarious. We are about to get all the way into it, man. And that's when Sophie made her power move. Instead of backing down, Sophie showed up to the next game, a nationally televised event, sporting a shirt that read, "Hot Girls Eat Arby's," during the Fever vs. Sky game on television. I don't know if that's a song that will get copyrighted or not, but she put this out, and this whole thing has broken the internet. It was pink, it was loud, and it was completely savage. Right here. And I don't know what she got paid for this, but hot girls eat Arby's right here. I decided to turn that down. However, this wasn't random, this was planned. Sophie had posted a video praising Arby's food months prior, and she had praised it. When Sophie wore that shirt on Barbie night, the internet went crazy. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and more were all over it. The moment became instantly iconic. Arby's corporate account called her an unapologetic queen. Officials responded to her on social media saying, "Hell yeah, you do." That was the setup. This was the punchline. Oh man, that's hilarious that the official Arby's site, social media account would say, "Hell yeah, you do." "She has the meats," said her teammate Lexi Hall. This is where it gets crazy. That $500 fine turned out to be Sophie's best investment ever. I feel like it was just a buildup of things. Fans were reposting the image as if it were a rallying cry. That shirt wasn't just an outfit. It was a message. I don't care about your fine. I care about being real. There was a lot going on. Tensions were high. Sophie committed a hard foul at that point, and the majority of people agreed with her. They were tired of everything that was happening on the court. They were tired of the referees. They were tired of the physicality getting to the point where players could get hurt. And many people said, "You know what? At last. At last, an enforcer is present on the court." She was being referred to as a hero, and her jersey sold out completely overnight, which is exactly what I expected to happen. She gained over 1 million followers after making fun of the referees on her TikTok, and another 700,000 in just 3 days after the Arby's shirt went viral. Her TikTok went from 300,000 to over 1.7 million followers almost overnight, and she made millions in exposure, influence, and revenue. All because she wouldn't keep quiet. All because she dared to be herself. Sophie didn't get punished, she got paid, and it didn't end there. Jeannie Buss, the owner of the Los Angeles Lakers and the founder of Women of Wrestling, noticed Sophie's savage stunt and thought, "Who is Jenny Buss?" The Lakers owner and co-owner, you ask. Oh, that Jenny Buss. You might be wondering, what's WOW? She's offered Sophie Cunningham a spot with WOW. Women of Wrestling right here. At a Comic-Con panel, they called Sophie the enforcer of Caitlin Clark, someone who protects the game's biggest star and brings heat with every move. They said, "We'd love to have Sophie Cunningham and WOW." They were all at Comic-Con last weekend, by the way. However, the proprietors of WOW, Women of Wrestling, have extended an offer to Sophie Cunningham for a job following the recent revelations, which are related to the situation we discussed with the Connecticut Sun. Women of Wrestling founder and co-owner David Emland said during the panel at the San Diego Comic-Con on Friday that Sophie Cunningham would be a good fit for wrestling after Cunningham responded savagely to a WNBA fine on a TikTok video. Think about that. One shirt got her an invitation into pro wrestling, not as a gimmick, but as a real crossover personality. She's not just a WNBA role player anymore. Instead of fixing officiating, the WNBA continues to punish players for calling it out. Instead of embracing her personality, they try to silence it. And every time they find Sophie Cunningham, she turns it into fuel, into fire, into money. This isn't a player problem, it's a leadership problem. And all because the league tried to silence her with a $500 fine. Meanwhile, what did the WNBA gain from all of this? Nothing but negative publicity, irate fans, and a big fat reminder that they still don't get it. Sophie Cunningham turned a $500 fine into the most iconic branding move the WNBA has ever seen. She wore a shirt, took a stand, and revealed how out of touch the league truly is. Let Sophie speak. Fix the referees, not the players. The W can't afford another PR disaster like this. And Sophie, she's making it rain. She said it herself. Keep the fines coming. I'll keep making it rain. She's more marketable, more popular, and more untouchable than ever. If you're still watching, leave a comment below and let us know if you think Sophie went too far or if she just showed the league what true power looks like. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this story is just getting started. I'm starting to suspect that the Indiana Fever are a better team than the Chicago Sky. Don't ask me why, it's just a sneaking suspicion. I mean, it could be that the Fever beat them every time they play. That might be the case. I mean, you can go back to last year, but the Fever slapped the Sky in the season opener. With both teams playing at full strength, the Fever slapped him, and even though Caitlin Clark didn't play, Angel Reese's Sky were humiliated on their own, court on their biggest night of the year inside the United Center. The game they decided to make the main event turned into a public execution. As a result, yesterday's game between the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky was, quite honestly, one of the closest games the two teams have ever played. This is the closest game in over a year because, in case you were unaware, the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky played 3 times in June of last year. Once by a single point, once by 8 points, and once during the Nalissa Smith disaster class when she allowed Angel Reed to essentially take over a second half. So, what happened when the Indiana Fever entered Chicago's home without Caitlin Clark and left with a 93-78 thumping? Let's break down the complete humiliation and why this so-called rivalry was revealed to be a hoax. The media loves this story. Line: Clark versus Reese, Iowa versus LSU, Indiana versus Chicago. However, the Indiana Fever walk into Chicago, the United Center, without Caitlin Clark, and they leave with a W 93-78. The Chicago Sky, without Angel Reese and without Haley Van Lith, had half of their team out, but it didn't matter because our best player was out. So, you know what they say? Next man up. And we decided to show up while Camila Cardoso chose to no call, no show. When you look at the numbers, the truth is ugly. The Fever have now defeated the Sky 6 times in their last 7 meetings, and they have won 3 straight by a total of 77 points this season alone. That isn't a rivalry, it's dominance. However, as Angel Reese tweeted, and the Chicago Sky posted this one right here, we don't care about none of that Sky on top. We're going back to our original programming since that game. This rivalry has been the funniest rivalry ever since that game, so I just want to see if there is no, oh, you can't see the history. I'm just going to have to get the Fever versus the Sky up. So yesterday's game was actually the closest of all of them. You may be asking yourself, Nick, how is that the closest? How is that the closest game these guys have played since then? It has been. If we look at the box scores from yesterday, the Indiana Fever were poor, and I thought they were really poor. The game that the Sky won was a complete fourth-half disaster class, and this game just made it unquestionable. Chicago's front office went all out. They reserved the United Center, their largest venue, specifically for this game. They made it a Barbie night, built around Angel Reese's brand, filled the arena with pink, introduced new merchandise, and promoted it on social media. Angel Reese didn't even play, and the Indiana Fever turned her big night into Fever Night. This time, both teams were dealing with injuries, with Skyer being decimated by injuries, to be fair. Rachel Baum took a lot of the blame for the Fever, but Caitlin Clark was still out. The Fever are a better team than the Chicago Sky, and they're starting to find their rhythm. Obviously, they're able to get into a little bit of a rhythm without Caitlin Clark knowing Caitlin Clark is going to be out for a minute. Sophie Cunningham talked about that after the last game, and fortunately, they still have Kelsey Mitchell in the backcourt. The Fever didn't just win, they owned the building. Fever fans took over. Memes went viral, and the Sky was enthralled. For 20 minutes, Clark spent her time signing autographs. She walked around 2/3 of the arena and signed hundreds of autographs. For those of you who did not watch the game today, there were as many Fever fans as there were Sky fans, so Caitlin Clark was not playing the game. In addition, people were there to watch Caitlin Clark play on the field, or to see her in case she got the chance to sign something. The pressure was on Kelsey Mitchell, who put on one of the best performances of the entire WNBA season with 35 points, 12 of 19 from the field, and 7 out of 10 from 3. Kelsey Mitchell, 7 out of 10 from 3. She started the game with 8 points quickly, and you knew, oh, Kelsey Mitchell's hot today. This might be her game, she said, adding that she spent about 20 minutes signing autographs on everything. Get her open and send her some big body screens. Kelsey Mitchell did it all. She went 7 for 10 from three-point range, got to the rack, and made it to the free throw line, slicing up the defense like a little snake and slithering in and out of it. Kudos to you, Kelsey Mitchell. By the end of the game, when the Chicago Sky were considering a comeback, Kelsey Mitchell says, "Slow your roll. Go slowly down there. You. Oh, you believed you were going to return inside. No, you will not return to this game. Not right now. Never." On a night when the Fever needed a closer, that's 70% from deep. She also did more than just post numbers. She became the only player in Fever history to have more than 35 points, 5 assists, and 5 threes in a same game, joining Caitlin Clark in doing so. It became into Mitchell night on Barbie night. Mitchell, however, wasn't by himself. It twice was Michaela Timpson's breakthrough night. 6 of 8 shots led to 14 points. Camila Cardoso was outplayed offensively by Michaela Timpson. Outperformed her. Played better defensively than she did. In the first half, Carmela Cardoso scored 11 points. What does she possess? Just 1 point. She vanished in the second half, used a small magic trick of her own on Barbie night, and poof for my next performance. See me go. Chloe BBE, who had just signed a 7-day contract, lost 8 points in 10 minutes. With yet another double-double, 14 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 blocks, Aaliyah Boston dominated. Every time Chicago attempted to gain momentum, even Lexi Hull came through with clutch baskets. The best part is that Caitlin Clark was the biggest celebrity in the building while supporting her teammates and signing more than 200 autographs, while wearing street clothes the entire time. That is the hallmark of true star power. Chicago, meanwhile, appeared to be lost. After the game, Coach Tyler Marsh acknowledged that his team was not performing well and continued to make the same errors. They went into the game with a screw-it mentality, according to Rachel Baum. It's not a rivalry when your own players acknowledge that they weren't psychologically ready. It's a meltdown. Let's be honest, it wasn't just a game that Chicago lost. They were unable to manage their own story. Angel Ree was intended to have this night. The message, the merchandise, and the theme are all intended to highlight her. Fever enthusiasts nicknamed it Fever Night instead. Tweets and TikToks took the internet by storm. It wasn't a Chicago highlight that went viral, as her teammates ran up the score. Caitlin Clark was surrounded by fans on the sidelines. We learned everything we needed to know from this game. The Fever are developing a significant project. Mitchell takes Clark's place. The novices put on a show. The defense is anchored by Boston, and everyone supports the system. They have already defeated the Sky 3 times in a row. Home or away, it makes no difference. Chicago, however, has dropped their last 5 games. Their chances of making the playoffs are fading. Additionally, this alleged competition only serves to diminish their reputation. The Fever will be a terror for any Eastern team when Caitlin Clark is back, rested, and focused. They trail Atlanta by just 2 games and are now in 3rd place in the conference. They've figured out how to succeed without her. Imagine them at their strongest now. Caitlin Clark commanded the evening without even having to perform. Therefore, if you're still viewing, leave a comment about Fever Night and allow that this rivalry is officially over, as the league is aware.